Hello my sweet friends, welcome back. You already know what time of the month it is. It is TBR jar time. Our jar is getting very low. I need to restock it soon. But today we're going to be picking out our TBR for October, which is wild. I feel like I say that every month, but I just can't believe how quickly the end of the year is coming. Not gonna lie, I'm already kind of looking at Christmas stuff because I literally cannot wait. I love Christmas and all of the Christmas decor and Christmas themed things have started hitting the stores and I'm so But for now, we're in October. I guess you could say it's spooky season. We don't really have a huge Halloween culture here in Australia, so I feel like I don't really see October as Halloween spooky season. I see it more as the start of summer. We're technically still in spring, but where I live, I feel like spring doesn't really exist. We just kind of head straight into summer. So am I gonna pick spooky books? Am I gonna pick summer books? I don't really know. I guess the TBR jar will decide for me. Recently, I have been reading a bit of everything, as I usually do, but a lot more romances than I feel like I have been over the past few months. I feel like I go through phases where I'll either read majority fantasy or majority romance, and I feel like I'm in a bit of a romance era at the moment, and we have a lot of romances on the TBR cart. There's a few books that I'm really hoping I'll be able to get to this month, but we shall see what the prompts give us, so let's get started. As per usual, I'll probably pick 6 prompts because that seems realistic and doable for me. Starting off with prompt number 1, dual POV. I feel like surely there's a few on here. Let's have a look at the ones that I'm kind of wanting to read soon. I really want to read Ready or Not. I have no idea if this is dual POV. It's not looking good. Okay, so that's not dual POV. Is You with a View? I feel like this, I don't have a great feeling about it being dual POV. Doesn't look like it. There's gotta be a few in here. Is Daydream? Okay, this is looking good. I see names at the beginning of chapters. Yeah, okay. Let's go with Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the 3rd book in the... there is a name for it. I just forget what it is right now. The Icebreaker Wildfire Interconnected Standalone series. And this one follows Henry and I think her name is Hallie, if I'm remembering correctly. And I, along with so many other people, have been waiting for Henry's book since we read Icebreaker. And she's chunky. She's kind of thick. But I feel like it's one of those books that will probably just fly by because I feel like the other books in this series have just flown by. And I'm just really intrigued because Hallie looks like, at least from what I've heard, seems like a girl I could really get along with. I think she likes craft, she likes being cozy, she likes reading, she likes Taylor Swift. I'm excited. Moving on to prompt number 2. A book that is less than 300 pages. Okay, let's have a look at, first of all, this Sarah Adams book. It's called The Match. It just looks quite short. When I tell you this is literally 301 pages, perfect. Is The Enemy in the same series? I feel like I should read The Match before I read The Enemy, but oh, this one is under 300 pages. Is this in the, is this one of those things where I should read this one first? I feel like they might be just set in the same world. I just don't want to risk it. I think I should really read The Match first, just in case. Delicate Escape by Catherine Cowles. No, that's definitely over 300. The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery. 306. Awesome. I definitely could do Persuasion. That's definitely under 300, but I don't know if I'm really ready for that. It's only 236 pages, which is quite good. I just don't know if I'm in the mood to read a classic just yet. I have The Obsession, which I think is quite short. 308. Awesome. Cool. Funny Feelings looks quite short. 301. Awesome. What about Rush? This one might be 296. Could this be the one? I feel like everything else looks like it's going to be above 300 pages. Let me just check this one. This one's kind of short. No, 306. I feel like that's my best bet. And I'm not mad at that. I could pick Persuasion. I just don't think I'm in a classic mood. I am really excited to read this at some point. And I feel like it might be one that I do actually quite enjoy. We'll see. But I just don't think it's the time right now. So I think I'm going to go with Rush. This is the art copy. So the final copy does look a little bit different from this one, but this is Rush by Saskia Roy if you want to have a look into it. And I'm pretty sure this is an F1 romance. This came out in March this year, so although I have the art copy, it has been sitting on my TBR cart for a while, so it definitely is out. You guys can get your hands on it. I haven't heard much about it. Yeah, like I said, I know it's an F1 romance, and the reason why I haven't picked it up yet is because I feel like I've heard that it's quite spicy, and that's just not my go-to when it comes to romances. I much prefer something that's a bit more hard-hitting getting a bit more emotional. I'll give it a chance. In my opinion, if I can like skip the spicy chapters and it still makes sense, it still might be okay for me. But if it's just like spice central, it might not be the book for me and I might not finish it, but we'll give it a chance. It has been sitting on my TBR cart for quite the while. I just want to give it a go. Moving on to prompt number 3. A new to you author. Okay, we have a few options we could do here. I could do Ready or Not. I could do the Library of Borrowed. Oh, there's actually quite a few on here. I could do this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and so on and so forth. Shall I just pick one that looks good to me? I think I want to do Ready or Not because this is one that I really want to get to. And is this not giving the perfect like spring vibes? This is on my end of year TBR, so I definitely want to get to it. This is set in New York City. That just sounds really fun to me, and I'm pretty sure it's just like an unexpected pregnancy situation. I've heard people compare it to Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, which I absolutely adored. So I'm excited. Oh my gosh. On the back it's blurbed by Abby Jimenez and Annabelle Monaghan. That's crazy. Eve Hatch lives for surprises. Just kidding. She expects every tomorrow to be pretty much the same as today. She loves her cozy apartment in Brooklyn, close to her childhood best friend Willa, and far from her traditional Midwestern family who have never really understood her. While her job is only dream adjacent, it's comfortable and steady. She knows what to expect from life until she finds herself literally expecting after an uncharacteristic one-night stand. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I love kind of not knowing that much, so I don't want to read the whole thing. But that sounds really fun, and I'm just obsessed with this cover. It's genuinely one of my favorite covers ever, I think. It's so beautiful. So far on the TBR, we only have romance books. Maybe we should try and switch it up a bit, but also if we don't, oh well. Moving on to prompt number 4. Blindly choose a book, eyes closed. I feel like I kind of know in my brain like whereabouts each book is, so maybe I'll just do a random number generator because that's still like blindly choosing a book. I just feel like if I like do this and like pick a random book, I kind of know what is going to be in that area, so I'm kind of like choosing, not really blindly, you know what I mean? So let's count our books and we'll get Siri to choose. 1, 2, 3, 22, 20, 38, 39, 40 on the dot. Hey Siri, pick a number between 1 and 40.
The answer is 11.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, we are going with Better Hate Than Never by Chloe Leese. This is part of an interconnected standalone series. I've read the first one. What is it called? Oh, Two Wrongs Make a Right. And I think this one is set in the same world. I honestly don't remember that much about Two Wrongs Make a Right. I think it followed 2 neurodivergent, or at least 1 neurodivergent character. So I'm not sure if this also has a similar vibe to it, because I know Chloe Leese focuses a lot on diversifying her characters in lots of different ways. I've also read Only When It's Us, and that one has a romance with a deaf character. So I honestly don't know much about this one. I've heard good things about it. Chloe Leese is an author that I enjoy, but I haven't found like a favorite from her yet. I've read maybe like 3 books of hers and I've enjoyed them all, but yeah, none of them have been 5 stars. So I'm still hoping that she'll provide like a favorite for me. Oh, childhood best friends, but now maybe enemies. Katrina and Christopher shared backyards as kids, but as adults they won't even share the same hemisphere. That is until Kate makes a rare visit home and their fiery animosity rekindles into a raging inferno. When Kate drunkenly confesses she's only been hostile because she thought he hated her, Christopher vows to make peace with her once and for all. I'm very intrigued. This has been on my TBR cart for quite a while as well, so I feel like it's time that I get to this. So thank you Siri for choosing that one for me. Another romance added to the list. Prompt number 5. Your current favorite genre. Well, I just said that that is romance at the moment, but I do already have 4 romance books on my TBR. If I'm being honest, I think if I had to choose like my favorite genre, like just say I had to choose one genre to read for the rest of my life, I'd probably choose fantasy, I think, because you also get romance in fantasy. And if you were to look at my stats for the whole year and see how many of each genre I've read significantly more fantasy than I have any other genre, including romance. However, like I mentioned, recently I have been reading a lot more romance, and this prompt says your current favorite genre. So I feel like I have to pick romance because that best suits the prompt. So what's one that I've been really hoping I can pick up? Is this one a romance? This looks like it's a bit of like a fantasy romance, but it's not like super fantasy. I would class this as more of a romance than it is fantasy because it follows a girl who I think is a witch, born into witch society, but her days of trying to fit in where she doesn't belong are over. They ended 7 years ago when the man she hoped to marry left town without a word. And it says that she just works in a bar in a mundane human life in Chicago. But then that guy who she wanted to marry all of those years ago walks through the door and announces he wants her back. This is one that I was really hoping that I would get to in October because it is that like spooky vibe, but it does look very cute. It's called The Witch is Back by Sophie H. Morgan, and it has a dog on the cover. I love dogs in books. But this just looks like a fun little silly goofy time, you know? Like almost like the X-Hex kind of vibe, I'm assuming. I haven't read the X-Hex, but it's kind of giving the same energy, I would like to think. How cute is that cover too? So sweet. Okay, I'm gonna go with that one because it is a romance, but it's kind of fantasy, so maybe best of both worlds. Okay, that means we are on to our last prompt, and so far we only have romance on this TBR, but it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean I can't read any of these other ones during October anyway. Let's see what we get for our final prompt. A long title. What would you classify as a long title? Maybe like more than 4 words, I would argue. I feel like some of the ones that could work with that are A British Girl's Guide to Hurricanes and Heartbreak could be one. Even maybe The Storied Life of AJ Fikry. The Library of Borrowed Hearts. Anita de Monte Laughs Last, maybe. I feel like those are the ones that I would classify as a longer title, but I feel like the longest title that I just mentioned would be A British Girl's Guide to Hurricanes and Heartbreak. This has also been on my TBR cart for way too long, and I think it's a YA romance, which honestly sounds kind of fun. This is also a pretty short one as well. This one almost could have been the under 300 page book, but it's 306 pages. I honestly have no idea what this is about. This is the cover. It's got 1 girl and 2 guys, so potentially love triangle. I don't know for sure. Follow your heart and the rest will fall into place. Winchester has always been home for Flora Maxwell, but when her mother dies after a long illness, she escapes to Miami without telling anyone, especially her longtime friend Gordon Wallace. Flora's summer abroad lands her in the flashbulb world of Miami Cuban teen influencer Baz Marin, but she's more conflicted than ever when she begins to see Gordon in a new light. Does Miami hold the answers Flora was looking for, or is home truly where the heart is? Interesting. The whole teen influencer thing really throws me off. I feel like these TBR jar videos are so fun because it does give me a little bit of control as to whether I'm picking things that just sound really good to me and sound really fun, and choosing books that I'm excited to pick up. But it also does force me to sometimes choose books that I probably wouldn't choose otherwise, and kind of get through my physical TBR by picking up those books that, yeah, I maybe wouldn't have reached for first. And some of these books, like I mentioned, have been on my TBR for so long, and this is the perfect way to get through my physical TBR and read those books that I've been avoiding a little bit. So we're gonna give it a chance. I feel like this month's TBR isn't one that I'm necessarily like so excited about, but it is one of those ones where if I read all of these books, I will feel so accomplished because a lot of these are just books that I wouldn't have picked up otherwise. I feel like Daydream I have been wanting to pick up and I'm excited about, and Ready or Not I've been really wanting to pick up, but the other ones are all ones that have been on my TBR cart for probably at least 6 months, a lot of them maybe more. So you know what, this is a good challenge. I'm gonna do some rearranging and then I will quickly run through the books on my TBR for October. So the books that I will hopefully be reading this month are Daydream, Rush, Ready or Not, Better Hate Than Never, The Witch is Back, and lastly, A British Girl's Guide to Hurricanes and Heartbreak. I don't know if I've ever had a completely romance-filled TBR before. Maybe I have, but like I said, I have so many romances particularly on my TBR cart, and if I'm able to read all of these, it will probably make the rest of my TBR cart a bit more balanced in terms of like genre breakdowns. I'm hoping that I can get through all of these. I feel like I'll feel very accomplished if I do. I feel like there's nothing more satisfying than reading a book that's been on your TBR for a really long time. I don't know why it's so satisfying, but you just feel so accomplished. I guess we'll see. I'm very intrigued to know if there are any on this TBR that I'll be obsessed with. I'm hoping there will be, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching this month's TBR jar video. Let me know what's on your TBR for October. I would love to know. And I guess I'll see you guys in my next video very soon. Goodbye.